Hello, good afternoon, everyone. So I see a lot of attendees are already joining, and we are good to go for the webinar. First of all, I send a hearty thankfulness for all of us who have joined us today. So today, as you can see on the screen, the topic of our webinar is we are going to discuss the future of city water management. That is how integrating digital solutions is needed for the sustainable utilization of water resources. So the webinar is being hosted by Vasa Labs. We are a technology company, and we look after we make digital solutions to manage the entire cycle of water, and city water is one of our key focuses. And today in our webinar we have a very good lineup of speakers. So our first speaker will be Srimati Jaimala P, who is the Deputy General Manager of KUIDFC. Then we will be having Avinash Mishra, sir, who is currently the chairman of Water Audit Council, and he was a former advisor of Niti Aayog. And we have on board Mr. Frederick Royan, who is currently the global practice leader for sustainability and circular economy for Frost and Sullivan, and he is also the chair for the Smart Water Network Forum, that is SWAN. And the moderator of our speaking session will be Mr. Prabhat Ranjan. He's currently the Vice President Sales and Growth for Vasa Labs. So I will just quickly hand over to Mr. Prabhat, and so that we can start with our discussion. And as I can see, all of our speakers are on board. And sir, over to you.
Thanks, Amruta. Uh, I uh, I really welcome the entire participants for this particular webinar. Like the kind of the challenges what we are now facing up from, these are all happening from the climate change issues. Now we are all living in urban cities, and whenever any summer season comes up, and we start really starving for the kind of the drinking water. Now when you really have a kind of, like, you might be knowing about the scenario what has happened in Cape Town. That was the 0 day, they have experienced for couple of years. And if, like, this community is purely focused on the water community, that too into the urban scenario, like, we need to really collectively, we have to put up our effort. How do we manage our coming years to come? So we'll be having our all our distinguished speakers from the different arena, from consulting field, from the government field, also from audit field also. So before going to entire all speakers, so let us understand about the problems, why this webinar is quite important, why this is quite very important to really shake our hands and move together. So today we are facing the problems, like when we talk about on the kind of water scarcity. Like in India, we know about the situation, what has happened in this summer to Bangalore. Maybe the scenario would not be a kind of very far when we can get this the story from Mumbai or Delhi or Noida or any other kind of the metro city. Or maybe in the scenario, it could be for any other populated cities across the globe. So the first part is like on the water scarcity side. Then we look into the kind of water quality, because this quality is quite very important when we talk about the potable or the drinking water is concerned. Once we say this, like on the quality and the quantity part aspects, we also think, like, when this is purely a city water management, we need to also think upon how do we manage our assets. Because, like, when we start getting the water from the surface water, it could be a sources, could be a river, sources could be a kind of your lakes, or it could be a groundwater also. Now think from the source to the kind of the consumer household. So every the chain of the network, we are having certain kind of the challenges. whether the quantity part or the quality part or the asset management side. How do we really put together all into a integrated kind of the solution in a purely into the digital mode? What we have really experienced, I think we are quite very fortunate enough in this generation. Like we have seen a lot of technology upgradation, uh, like we have experienced into the banking sector and all. Now we are all like well versed with all our kind of the UPI payment and all. So why can't we do kind of management for this water also? So for that seminar, like for this webinar, we would be talking much more details on the kind of the challenges, how this the technology can really go for kind of merging or the integrating the various digital solution, and it can give a kind of a handy tool for any of the city municipal corporations or any city engineers, right from the top to the bottom level, how to manage the day-to-day operations. So with this kind of the scenario, I would like to really welcome our distinguished speakers. uh, Srimati Jaimala, ma'am, she is heading the entire the external aided projects, which is under the Karnataka Urban Infrastructure Development Financial Corporation, which comes under Urban Development Department, Government of Karnataka. And she is the pioneer. She is the pioneer in taking a lead role for transforming the IT reforms for the cities which are covering under the KUIDFC. My second distinguished speaker, Mr. Frederick Rowan, he is from international consulting firm who is really advising the government sector, advising the community of water into how to really make a kind of the growth strategy, how to really make a kind of like on the water sustainability part. So we would be really hearing a lot many the quality speeches from him. Also, we have very distinguished speaker, Mr. Avinash Misra sir, who was member of Niti Aayog earlier. Now, currently, uh, he is in the role of the chairman, Water Audit Council, which is a very, very, I can say, like tomorrow is the world for the entire water audit. For each of the drops, like we have to know what kind of my revenue is getting degenerated. How can I really revive my whole system? So I really welcome all our distinguished speakers here. So let me first go to Madam Jamala, ma'am. Uh, she is she is driving the entire IT reforms for the cities which is in Karnataka, and it is a kind of a fantastic job like Karnataka has really done. I can say like it's a kind of Karnataka model for the city water management. It can be replicated out to the entire Indian cities. Like we have around 5,000 ULBs, so probably we can look forward for that. So, ma'am, I would really, really appreciate your presence over here, in spite of your very busy schedule. So, thanks a lot for your presence here, ma'am. So, ma'am, I would really, really love to really hear from you. Like, when the KUIDFC is a such organization which is the nodal agency which is driving the all the funded kind of the projects, whether this is from World Bank or the ADB or the JICA, whatever it is. And like the experiences from the government sector, right from the source to the supply, right? So from the entire chain of this water network, right? How do you really precise the kind of what has been your kind of approaches uh, when we talk about the digital technologies for this all smart water management in the cities which already we have implemented, ma'am.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Prabhat, including me also in this webinar. And good afternoon, everyone who are there in this webinar. In the KUADFC, we are mainly implement the externally aided project, as rightly said by Prabhat. We are mainly implementing externally aided project like World Bank, Asian Development Bank like projects, and mainly we are focusing on water supply. water supply and sanitation. That is the main focus area of the KUDFC. What I am looking after as of now, that is one of the main project in 8 cities. We are implementing 24/7 water supply in Karnataka, that is assisted by Asian Development Bank. We already giving 24/7 water supply in 4 cities. Through not only in some wards, some zones, whole entire city we are covering with 24/7 water supply. Now, we are not only providing the water supply to the potable, sustainable, to make it sustainable. The water supply 24/7 only providing, creating infrastructure, capital investment. That is not our motive. We want that whatever the investment we have did, that should be sustainable for many years. That is our motto, and we have to give potable drinking water to our customer with a very quality and quantitative manner. That is the motive of our project. And to achieve this, we have some reforms also along with the implementation of the project. That is institutional reforms also we have, and invention, that intervention of IT also there. So for intervention of IT module, we have JV with our Vasar labs, and we have introduced 4 IT modules. That is the very important module, is very IT one module, that is collection and billing with linking with GPS. That is geo linking. We have done the collection and billing software that is very efficiently implemented in all the 8 towns. All the 8 towns, only one town is left because Mangalore still the work is going on, and ONM has to start still. Otherwise, collection and billing software, what are all we are giving in this software is, that is one thing is we are assuring 100% billing for every customer. So we have meter, smart meter is there, and we are ensuring 100% billing has to be done. So even collection, we have introduced the e-payment method so that consumer should not take risk to come to office or ULB office or anywhere else. So sitting at their home, they can make a payment. BBPS we have introduced, and SMS alerts, email alerts will go to them so that they can immediately get an alert so that they have to pay. Because of this intervention, our revenue, our urban local body revenues has been improved in a drastic way. That is the one thing we have seeing in the IT module 1. Another one is grievance redressal. Grievance in sitting anywhere, we have given a mobile app to even consumer also, customer also, so that grievance they can, with GPS location, they can register their grievance. Immediately it can be attended by our operator or ULB officials. Even ULB officials, immediately they can know where leakage is happening, where some contamination is happening. That is very, very important point. That is quality of the water is very important thing. That is captured by our IT1 module. And even new connection, if anybody wants new connection or disconnection, they are going outside and they will not be there for 1 or 2 years. Disconnection, if they want to restart, they need not to come to office. With sitting there at their home, they can do this new connection. And we have done the workflow system. So it is the paperless, this one. It will reduce the time also, and it will very cost effective and time effective. Within time, they will receive, ULB will receive the new connection request from the consumer. It will be attended immediately, so they can provide a connection to the consumer. These are the collection IT module 1. These are the facilities we are giving. And the IT module 2, that is ring-fenced account system, what we call. We have a one system, accounting system, double entry system, that to be linked to our IT module 1. So that what is the collection we are generating from IT module 1 with water supply, new connection, anything, it should be what is the expenditure we are making towards providing water supply. That should be linked so that we can know who is the decision makers. They can know what is our expenditure towards providing water supply and how much income we are getting, so that they can make any decision. There is a lapses, there is a deficit in getting the revenue, so immediately they can attend to that. This one, that is the main thing. And decision making, wherever we are getting revenue losses, if we are not getting 6 months, somebody has not paid, even commercial they have not paid much for 6 months, 1 year, who are has the heavy arrears, they can get the thing and immediately they can attend to those customer and they can get the revenue. That is what it is happening in our cities as of now. And IT3, that is GIS and MIS report. So that whoever sitting at the top of our higher level officers, immediately within the minute they can know in this city they are getting this much of the complaints from the customer. This is wherever the repairs is more and frequently happening, so they have to give concentrate to those locations. That is also very important, so that even we are capturing NRW, non-revenue water. That is also very important matter in providing 24/7 water supply. You can not believe that earlier in one of the town it is 48 to 50% NRW is there. After implementation of 24/7 and monitoring through our IT module, it has been reduced within 20, and we are hoping some more reduction in the this one. And providing 24/7, it will not increase the consumption. It will definitely decrease the consumption because there is current supply for 24 hours with 7 days also. That is the thing what we are observing. And all asset management, IT4 talks about the enterprise asset management, dynamic enterprise asset management. What are the assets we are putting into the town that has been mapped with geotag? So what is our asset age, what is where it is there, everything has been linked. And whenever we get complaints, it will be plopping up with the location, so that we can find out where it is, what is happening, why it is coming again and again. So it is very easy to the commissioner who will looking after the head of the department to take decision on that. So all the asset has been mapped to that thing. So data security is very, very important. That is there in that our. So every time whoever wants to get that data, immediately they can get that data, and they can take any decision support. If they want to give any, they want to take some new project, that is also available in this module. Because if somewhere it is again and again it is happening, so that can be tackled immediately. Priority list they can make, ULB can make. That is what data driven decision making can be done in this. And we are even doing that service quality monitoring, like KPIs we are doing, SLBs, we are monitoring everything in the IT module 3. So, okay, what are the key performance indicators the operator should maintain, whether he is maintaining or not? So, we can sitting here at head office in somewhere else, that is Ariara, we are implemented this IT3 module. So, he's sitting here, I can monitor our all KPIs, SLBs are followed by our operator, whether consumer is getting a good quality of water, where it is, and it will flag red color if quality is not there. Every time lab test report has to be updated, and every day we will monitor what is the quality of the water at WTP outlet, inlet, so that immediately we can find out what is happening. That is what the intervention has been done in IT modules to sustainable 24/7 drinking water in our state through KUODFC.
Thanks a lot, ma'am, for a very good explanation on the different aspects of the entire, like from the consumer side, from the financing revenue side to accounting side to the asset management side, and also onto the day-to-day operations along with the consumer services. So thanks a lot for your valuable inputs, like to the entire here our beloved audiences, and we would really look
So,
forward to have a similar implementations in other states, other cities also, ma'am. So thanks a
so
lot, ma'am, for
meanwhile, what I will do is I'll just start the poll. And first of all, thank you so much, ma'am, for giving us such a great insight. I'm just starting the poll so that I request all the attendees to please engage and choose the option.
sure. Thanks, Amruta. So moving forward, I would uh, welcome Mr. Frederick Rowan, who is into the International Consulting Forum, and he is in a position to to make a kind of a lot of this growth strategy to various governments, various communities, various sectors. And in today, we would really love to hear from him. Like, sir, when we look at the kind of the entire the climate change is happening up now, we are having a lot of issues into the water scarcity side, so we have to think about the entire the circular economy. So now in this circular economy, how do you really see like this will reshape the kind of the entire the digital water management for the coming decades to come up, Mr.
Yeah,
Frederick?
yeah. Thanks, Pravat and Amrita, for the opportunity to be part of this webinar, and great to even see Ms. Jamala again. She joined at one of our webinars as well of the Swan India Alliance. A quick introduction about myself. I'm originally from Bangalore, so Pravat, where you are sitting right now, I am from that city, Bangalore, but I've been in the UK from 2007. So I've been here for nearly 17 years now. So I think to answer your question, with the water sector, there are two key challenges: productivity and efficiency, right? And to address those two key challenges, data is essential. You cannot manage what you cannot measure, right? So, and that's what I see. There have been some really exciting initiatives launched in India. Say, for example, the Jal Jeevan Mission. It's very data driven. Uh, and an ambitious goal of providing both a quality and quantity of water. So 55 liters per person per day. Uh, of the Jal Jeevan Mission for around 600,000 villages across India. Right. And of course, right now, lots of the investment has been on the physical infrastructure. And what we see going forward, the investment is going to be on the digital infrastructure, in the measuring and monitoring and gathering the data. Already you have the Jal Shakti Ministry, which has the dashboard, which provides the data across many of the villages, which are already monitoring both water quality and quantity. And I think that will be quite instrumental, not only in highlighting some of the really well-performing villages, but also for the other villages to start learning how they can improve and benchmark themselves against the best. And when that is commissioned, I think that might end up as the largest smart water grid in the world, is what I've always communicated. The Amrit mission, again, is focusing on cities, right? With cities, you mentioned two key challenges. One is quality or the quantity, the water scarcity issue, but also there's the water quality issue, right? So how do you address the scarcity issue? I don't think we can address the scarcity issue by continuing to supply or meet the demands of the customer. If you look across the world, there's a lot of focus on demand side management when you're looking at water, right? So what is demand side management, right? It's measuring the actual consumption of water at the individual households, and then trying to see how you can draw down that per capita consumption, so that you're able to become a much more resilient and water secure city and nation. If you look at, I live in Wales, so Wales is part of the UK, and UK as well. If they're looking ahead at 2050, they realize there's going to be a significant gap between supply and demand. So what they've aimed for is to reduce the per capita consumption from 150 liters per person per day to 110 or 118 liters per person per day, right? So how are they going to do that? So the very first step is a rollout of smart water meters, because I think only 40% of households in UK have meters, leave alone smart water meters, right? So right now, a lot of the utilities across the UK have initiated smart water meter programs, which means every utility in the UK will start installing smart water meters at households. By 2030 or 35, every single household in the UK will have a smart water meter, right? And then what the agencies will be trying to do is, how once you start measuring the water consumption at the individual household level, how do you tackle the consumption by influencing customer behavior, engaging with the customers, providing apps for them to be able to visualize. Ms. Jamala was mentioning, some of those initiatives which are already interestingly happening in some of those 8 cities of the World Bank funded project that Vasa Labs is supporting there as well, right? So I think that is going to be crucial on the water quantity side. On the water quality side, I think there is certainly an opportunity for, much more, what should I say, monitoring. So where do you start monitoring, right? And what do you start monitoring? I think PFAS has become a big topic in the US. It's gradually even picking up in Europe. It might become a key topic even in India. We've seen some cities setting up the disaster management centers where water monitoring can also look at health monitoring in various communities by monitoring the wastewater in some of these communities, epidemiological monitoring of wastewater, right? But I think the significant opportunity I see is, and the kind of solutions that Vasa Labs provides on the digital twin side, right? People usually think of the digital twin as something which is only for monitoring or optimizing the operations of infrastructure. I think a digital twin is far beyond that. A digital twin in the context of a city, it's looking at the life cycle of setting up infrastructure for a city. So it starts from the very much the design of infrastructure. What do you choose in terms of materials, making sure it's less carbon intensive, right? And then you get into the design of the particular, what should I say, infrastructure, and the digital twin can even support in optimizing the design of this particular infrastructure. And then the third point is the operational part. So I'm part of the Swan Forum. We published a few studies as well on the digital twin, and the digital twin architecture of the Swan Forum is pretty much the global standard right now. And if you see in some of the case studies there, we're seeing a lot of cities around the world realizing the benefits of the digital twin, with an ROI of even 3 to 5 years, especially on the energy side, because water, is a very water intensive or energy intensive service, right? So to summarize, I see the future of, the space in cities. It's going to be shaped what I call as the 6P framework: policies to platform, right? Policies will shape the footprint and handprint of products. How are you minimizing the footprint? How are you enhancing the handprint of a particular product or a service? The third P is processes. Making sure you're monitoring not just water, but also monitoring energy and other materials. And then you're able to look at a business case where you're able to tackle water in conjunction with energy and materials. The fourth is people and personas. How do you engage with people, both on the supply side, like people in Vasa Labs? How do you give them the skills to make sure they're designing the best solutions to the water sector? But also, how do you capitalize on the awareness and interest of the customer? Because a middle-class household is very different to possibly one of the pyramid household, right? And how do you engage with them to increase productivity and efficiency of water services at that level? The fifth one is partnerships. Vasa Labs itself partners with quite a few entities in the ecosystem, how you go to market. Sustainability is a perfect platform for companies to come together, collaborate, co-create, and to benefit as a process. But the sixth and the most important for me is the platform. And the platform piece is where when you set up a policy, you're reaching a platform where you're not just measuring, monitoring, and reporting, but also making sure it's verifiable. As part of the Jal Jeevan mission, crores are spent on audits in the past to make sure what is the water served in some of these villages. Now, with the digital solutions installed, and once they're operational, there'll be significant savings even in terms of audits from in the villages, and it'll be much more effective and quicker in how it's done, right? And the 6P framework is pretty much circular, because right now what water lacks is sufficient data to be able to create effective programs or solutions. But we are seeing a significant push or increase in digital solutions. So we're going to get significant data available data going forward. And once we have the data, we will be able to then create much more targeted and effective policies to realize some tangible benefits for the water sector.
Thanks, Fred, for very valuable insights on the entire circular economy. And like as you mentioned, like this water, the city water part, city water management is totally demand driven. So that is, I mean, that's correct one. So I mean, it's all purely on the demand basis. How do we really forecast the demand? How do we really manage the backward operations of the entire the city water network? And because this is a kind of purely demand driven, and that too again like a kind of the forecasting model is again going to play a very great role here for enriching the platform, enriching the kind of all your 6 Ps over here into the platform itself. So thanks a lot for your valuable insights. Can we have the next poll?
Yes, I am publishing the poll.
So guys, you have the next questions in the poll section. So please. So we have also Mr. Avinash Misra sir, who is currently in the role of the chairman Water Audit Council. Like water audit is a kind of very significant. It plays a role into when it comes to the city water management side. So like we need to really count every drops of water, because we have to respect the kind of water which has been given from the god. It's a natural uh, uh, okay. So I invite Mr. Avinash Misra sir, and I really sir, we really want to know about the kind of the role of the technology and what is the necessity, like how this is going to advance like water audit or the benchmarking is concerned, because this benchmarking is again quite very important when it is the city water management. So some city can really put up their own benchmark. Yes, I'm there to the level 5, right? So the benchmarking and water audit is a kind of the very critical role is going to play in the coming decades. So, sir, I invite you, sir. So please, can you throw some light on that?
Thank you very much. Thank you. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, audible.
Okay. So I would first really appreciate the type of topic which has been chosen in today's time, which is very much important. And the important thing here is that we must know that what are the aspiration of this country is. The aspiration of the country is that we have already touched $3.5 trillion economy, and we are presuming that we will touch $5 trillion economy by 2025, and by 2030 $7 trillion, and by 2047 we will be hitting a number which is close to $20 trillion, and by that time perhaps we presume that we will be as good as US and all other, and we will be a developed nation. To proceed forward on this trajectory, we must see how the economic development is happening. You see, the water, which is a very vital natural resource, just which is very much required for the production and it is so closely linked with GDP that if you want to produce anything, the water footprint is a mark over there. Now the thing is this: if the water is not available, we will not be able to gear up all this economy, and we will not be able to gear up the trajectory of growth, which we are today saying the highest in the world, and this is happening. So now coming next, what are the growth centers? Where from the GDP is coming much? So then you will all realize that the contribution of GDP of the agriculture sector is something around 15 to 16%, and the sector which is non-agriculture, which is the service sector or which is the industry sector, they are contributing 55 to 60% services sector, which require the services of software industry and all other industries, and then outsourcing, and thereafter the manufacturing, which is yet to gear up, which is again 14 to 15%. So the water is playing a vital role. Now actually the growth center, today we have 37% people which is living in the urban area, and which will grow to 40% very shortly, and finally we will stabilize somewhere close to 50% of our population. But do you feel that our urban centers are of that capability to sustain such a growth? No, not yet. We don't have the water distribution network. The non-revenue water theft or whatever on unbilled water is something to the tune of 45 to 50% in our country. And moreover, the quality of water, no, it is not up to the mark. The timing of water, no, it is not up to the mark. Then we have to improve a lot in this area. We are getting the water from long distances. Every city is having the water on an average 100 kilometers far from their place. So what is happening? The energy is consumed. Total energy production of this country, 30% energy just going for water pumping, water lifting, and water drying. So if this is the position, then how will we survive? And we must know where is what is wrong. The wrong here is that we are a single user of water. We just use the water once and then throw it or allow it to waste water to flow down, and then to contaminate the fresh water bodies, contaminate the fresh aquifers, and then we don't reuse. So one thing is very simple, that there should be a habit of reuse of water. Now coming back to the system, the consumptive use of water of an individual, of a human being, can't be more than 20% of water which is being supplied today to your houses. Then why can't we have that double pipe system? Why can't we have the two drainage system? One drainage would be for the grey water, which will be recycled back and will be provided as a black water, and again black water could be used for the secondary uses, for the irrigation, for the horticulture, for the industrial development, for all other things. So that particular thing is completely absent in our growth center. Then where from the thing should start? Definitely the thing should start from urban centers. What are the technology there? There is a SCADA technology. There is a technology of artificial intelligence. There is the Internet of Things. There is a machine language, and there are the smart meters. There are the smart walls. Those are there, and with that I can just manage the water. There is a system. Some test pilots have been carried out almost in all cities on partial successful basis, whether it is in Bangalore or it is in Chennai, or in almost all cities this has been done, but it has not been done holistically. So it's a high time we should do holistically. Then one another rule, that it should start from part to whole, means whatever water is provided to your facility, to your building, to your community, we must first meter it, we must first reuse it, we should have a double pipe system, we should recycle that water, and then only the wastewater should be allowed to flow back. And then we say the government is providing the freebies. The pricing of water is very low, and it's a political decision also. Yes, we cannot intervene. But energy consumption, which is linked with this 30%, it's not a political decision. So we should somehow try to understand, let the energy lead it. Let the price tag which is attached to energy, it should lead it. And then definitely the people will understand, yes, this is what, and again the opportunity cost. Suppose the water is not provided for 15 to 20 days. In Bangalore city, people are rushing to malls. People are going to near shopping centers, hospitals and all for even their daily routine. So that particular thing can be addressed if we are recycling that water. Here actually the better thing comes, that we should be able to audit water. What quantum of water we are actually providing to each individual. 135 liter per capita per day, but I am very sure every city is providing 250 liter, 300 liter per capita per day. There are the storage tanks, though they've been provided. So again, in what way we can minimize? So this is something which we should start from part to whole, and then things should be addressed. There should be digital system also, in what way we can go to record digitally the water consumption, digitally the water provision, digitally the how to rotate and how to manage the valves which is there in the SCADA system, and all supervisory control and quality of water will also be there. It can check the quality of water, it can check the process of flow, and it can also check where and what at what time the water should be provided. It can also see how much water I have got, how much I need to provide. I can rationalize the water. So all these systems are very much needed. And today is the time. If we are unable to do, I am sure we are not going to sustain our growth, which is very important. Other thing I would say, on 7th October 2024, Ministry of Environment and Forest has come out with a order which is in a draft stage, which said every consumer which has got more than 5,000 liter of water to be consumed per day must go for audit, must see that it is recycled, reused, and there should be two pipe system. And everybody is responsible. The water user is responsible, the builder is responsible, the society or community where they are, it is there, they are also responsible. So this order is again there. I hope that this particular support will help and the things will move forward. Thank you very much. I've been provided only 6 minutes to speak, so my time is over. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot, sir, for your valuable insights on the water audit. This is very critical. Like currently, many city corporations that do not know how much water is going as a gray water, how much water is going as a wastewater. So, at least with your insights, with your kind of thought, means the platform is ready enough from the Vasar labs who can create, which can create a kind of the entire equation, how much inflow has happened to the city corporation and how much outflow is happening up. Now in between, what kind of the gray water, what kind of the wastewater, what kind of black water is all going out. So this can be quantified when we start using the digital technology. With, of course, there would be a kind of the set of all instrumentation right from the source till the household points. And that you rightly said, sir, on the drainage network, there has to be a kind of a separate drainage network even for the gray water and all. Very valuable points, sir. So I think let's jointly, we can do all these kind of the activities when we really collaborate into this industry. And we really look forward for such a kind of sir, your valuable informations and the insights and the policies like government of India maybe like taking up further. So we would be really happy to really collaborate with our digital interventions. So thanks a lot for that. Meanwhile, I have received certain questions
Yes,
by
so
Dr.
Prabhat sir,
Sure.
I will just publish the last poll, and then we will start with the question answer session. So I'll
Please, yeah,
just
please
do
go
the
ahead.
last poll. Yeah. I have released the poll. So while the audience is answering the poll, I would just like to start with the question answer session. Even I have received some of the questions. So first, Prabhat sir, you can go ahead, or then I will also ask some questions to the speaker. They can answer it, in a very short manner.
I want the
As per
audience only to please speak out and ask our distinguished speakers here. Dr. Sonali, are you there?
So she is there, but given we are in the platform won't allow her to speak. The
Okay, fine.
settings
Yeah,
have
no
been
problem.
set.
So her question is like, does the NRW software feature differentiate between the physical losses and the commercial losses in the municipal water supply system for the cities in Karnataka? So probably this question is going to Madam Ma'am, Jamala Ma'am. Are you there?
Yeah, Prabhat.
Yes.
Yeah. So, ma'am, let me just repeat the question.
We have
Dr.
fixed
Sonali is.
budgets in each of the WTP. Yeah, you, Banu can answer this.
Yeah, one of our audience, Dr.
Answer.
Sonali, she's asking like, does the NRW software differentiate between the physical losses and the commercial losses in the cities of Karnataka?
Prabhat, this Banu here. I will answer that.
Sure.
Hello. Right now,
Please go
what
ahead.
we are doing, we are monitoring stores. We are capturing the final consumption from the end consumer. Right now, we are capturing as a whole as NRW, like zone wise we are capturing till the flow meters, and till the last at consumer level we are capturing. There's nothing like differentiate between the for the domestic losses and commercial losses. No, we're not doing like that. As a overall, as a ULB loss, we are taking as a 1 point.
Yeah, that's fine. That's the kind of the current scenario. But going further, like if we really want to differentiate between the physical losses and the commercial losses are from where means we are getting the revenue when we supply water. Physical losses, like it is more from the transmission lines. So once we are putting up kind of the sensors from the node A to node B, and then you will be able to really quantify how much the physical losses is happening up in the transmission line. So similarly, this can also be done from the distribution network also when you are putting up the kind of the different sensors which can really quantify out, yes, how much inflow has happened and how much outflow has happened from that end of the pipelines. So that could be differentiated out. So this is not a big part, but like this is the ongoing assignment is or getting executed. But yes, there is a future improvement. So very good question, I can say. Now let's have a kind of on the so any more questions from audiences?
I I will be addressing some questions. I think
Please
I would
go
like to
ahead.
ask, yeah, the question to Avinash sir. So, sir, the question is like, how is the Indian government addressing water auditing and policy advocacy? Also, how do you see the alignment of the SDG, like the goals, the Sustainable Development Goals, localization? Like, how do you see the alignment, with these parameters, given policy advocacy and water auditing?
While you are going for water auditing, means definitely you are going to address the demand and the supply matching of that. Number one. Number two, you are going to address the quality part of that. Number three, you are going to address the wastewater part of that. So, say complete wash is the water, sanitation, and hygiene. So in that case, it gets answer to all the SDG parameters. Then there is the efficiency, improvement, innovation, and localization. While I'm going to go for the wastewater recycle and management. So as per the SDG 6, all the goals, sub goals that get addressed the moment we go for this water auditing. So it's like that.
Great.
And you see, it is required on a municipal scale because you see, the city should be sustainable. It should not get threatened with the climate effect. If there is a heavy downpour, then the city is flooded and things have gone haywire. It should be so that I should be able to find out how the city's terrain can accommodate and can create the water cushions. So some heavy downpour can be there as a surplus water which can be collected, and as and when it is required, it can be pumped back again. And I will tell you, in almost all the cities of India, this provision is there. But we are not able to create these surplus flow reservoir, which is now the need of the, which we should do.
Great. So similarly, I have another question also. So the question is for Fred. How will water credits shape the future of the circular economy of water?
Yeah, thanks, Amrita. I think one of the interesting trends that we're monitoring at Frost and Sullivan, as well as the Swan Forum, is the emergence of water credits. People are familiar with the carbon credit market and how that is shaping a transformation of shift from fossil fuel to renewables, right? I think when it comes to water, there's a need for some financial instruments to scale. The speakers, Mr. Avinash has mentioned as well. We need to scale up some of these initiatives, right? And solutions such as water credits can provide that. Water credits have already started to shape some of these municipalities or councils here in the UK, where cities are planning new housing developments. They are requiring water credits to be set up to support that additional houses which need to be set up in that community. Because at the end of the day, that additional houses will require a significant additional amount of water to be supplied, right? So the water credits, I see it, from a couple of different angles. One is corporate entities will shape the water credits. Entities like Microsoft have a goal to be water positive by 2030. So they're already financing quite a lot of the leakage detection solutions in some of the cities, as well as some water reuse and recycling measures in industries. And as a result, we'll gradually see how they start monetizing that back into the homes, right? But I would also see individual homes. One of the interesting polls was, I think it was on the second question. I think it was, or the third one. What should be the target percentage for water recycling reuse in urban systems, right?
Right.
It was very interesting that from the poll, it was 36%, right?
Yes, I'll just publish the result to the audience also. They can also see that. Yeah.
Exactly. So, if you look at that, and the recent liquid waste management rules, is going to require any new homes to start looking at water reuse and recycling up to 50% by 2030. Right, and there we would see, water credits even supporting some of these installations. We know in the US, for example, states such as the San Francisco are already setting up measures for commercial and residential homes to reuse and recycle water. Right, and this is really seeing a significant opportunity for water reuse and recycling system providers. But they see an opportunity where, in addition to providing the system, you will be able to also provide the value to the user. So how does the water credit work, right? Because once a home or a commercial institution is able to reuse or recycle water, it automatically is less dependent on mains supply of water, right? And I think this is where even the water auditing becomes very crucial. Measuring and monitoring the amount of water that was previously used, and how you're measuring and monitoring the current amount of water that is reused and recycled at a home, and getting that certified, and then you're able to issue the water credit to a particular home, and then it becomes a tradable element, right? And once this scales, I think that is a really exciting opportunity I see, both in the developed as well as the developing world.
So there is another question from Ramesh. He's asking, so this is for Avinash sir. Is there any thumb rule for calculating the cost of, water audit for a city?
If you carried out only water audit, that way you will come to know that this much water is surplus, which is getting wasted. This much water is the water which can be recycled, reused for secondary purposes, where there's not much drinking and food preparation consumption water required. But as far as going for the cost parameter, I think auditing would not be more than 30 to 40 rupees per square meter. But putting up the sensors, putting up the second pipe system and all other will be such that return on investment will be within 2 and 2.5 years. Because here the major thing is, if the cost of water is zero, no problem. The cost of energy will be there. So a lot of energy would be saved. So, and more so, the water would be available to your premises round the clock. Because in any case, the water for flushing will always be available because it is there. Water for your laundry will always be available. Water for your actually mopping and the horticulture and cooling for the building is always available. So that way, actually, this is something which is a win-win situation, and that part of opportunity cost has not been calculated. But despite of that, also the return will be within 2 to 3 years, in between 2 to 3 years.
Great. Thank you, sir, for your valuable insight. So, meanwhile, what I'll do, since we are right on time, before we end the webinar, I'll also, publish the other poll results which we had. So, the one where, how we are looking at the auditing and benchmarking in the next decade, I will just publish that result also. It might come up in everyone's screen, and most people see like improved real-time water loss detection is where they're looking at to see in when it comes to auditing and benchmarking in the next decades. So the last question was the last poll which we had was the what will be the primary area of interest in digital transformation for city water management. So I'll just publish that also. And yeah, I mean, as we guessed it, it is non-revenue water tracking and leak detection. That is where most of the interest is lying when it comes to digital transformation for city water. So any concluding remarks, or we can just close the webinar accordingly.
Thanks, Amruta. I think audience also voted a lot on the NRW part. So yes, there is a lot of concern on this NRW part is there, and also on the water audit side. So with this, like if we are really controlling these two aspects, yes, of course, we are going to really control our the entire the cost of operations. So I think one element which I think Mr. Frederick has also touched upon on the cost of energy part. So this cost of energy is quite very huge when we look at the entire the cost of production, cost of operation, and cost of services to the consumer. So energy cost that itself is it comes more than 65 to 70% of any water authority. So that part can also be accommodated into our platform, into this in the water audit part or the energy audit, I can say, into the same OSA Labs platform. So that's one part. And with this webinar, we really wanted to also invite municipal corporations or the water authorities. Now we are offering the platforms into the three categories. Like firstly, the basic category, which is all focusing on the consumer side. That's the basic one, which can where all the consumers are there. So like the GIS data can be put across into the entire the city shape files and all, and people can really realize which all premier consumers are there, where all the kind of other consumers are there. That's the first category part. Second category is like purely on the standard version, which is focusing on the consumer side is the one, and then asset sides. So in the asset side, all right from your pumping part to all kind of your valves and sensor IoT devices and all that would be taken care of. So that would be a kind of the our second version as a standard version is there. Then also we have our the premium version that is on the that will be focusing all consumer asset and very tightly integrated with the SCADA side, which Mr. Sir was also mentioning about. Yes, we need to have all the SCADA integration tightly integrated with the whole platform. So we have the flavor of like the basic standard and also the premium version. So on the basic version, we really want to invite municipal corporation to come on board free of cost. So on the basic version, we would be really happy to take them together in this journey, so that they can also have a kind of experience. Okay, how does it really feel about on when they go from manual to the digital platforms. So with this announcement, I really thank each and every audiences and our distinguished speakers for taking out the time for this webinar in spite of having very very busy schedule. I know how busy, sir, you all, madam, you are there. So with
Thank
this,
you, everyone.
I thanks everyone for your precious time.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank
And have a
you.
good rest of the
So
day.
have a great
Thank
day
you.
ahead. Thank you.
Thanks.